Hello, first grade. We are getting ready to start our landscape project. And last week we watched a video about Austin's butterfly, and we saw how much better a student can get at a project if they spend a little time planning out their project and also practicing what it is they want to do before they go in and start adding color and making their project. So this is going to be the worksheet that we will be working on. This video will have the medium drawing, so if you are looking for the medium drawing, you are on the right video. If you are looking for the easy or hard, you need to go ahead and look for those on your table and scan the right video. Before we start drawing, we need you to put your first name, your last name, and your class code. Remember, first grade, you are 1G if you are in Mrs. Gross' class. You are 1C if you are in Mrs. Colliard's class. And you are 1H if you are in Mrs. Herden's class. For this video, I'm using a Sharpie marker, but I want you to be using a pencil because if you make any mistakes or you want to change anything in your drawing, it's much easier to erase that. It is really hard to see pencil on video, so I'm going to be using Sharpie, but please go ahead and use pencil. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way that our paper is facing. So our rectangle looks like it's laying down and it's much longer than it is tall. This way is called landscape, and for the correct reason, it's because mostly when we see a paper in this direction, we are looking at a landscape. We want to see as much of a land as possible. If we were drawing the opposite way, that would be portrait, and those are going to be more pictures of people, faces, neck, and shoulders. So for this project, we are going to have our paper in landscape mode for our practices and for our real project. A landscape has three different parts. It has the part right here in the front, and that's called the foreground. The foreground is the part of the picture that looks like you could walk into it by looking at it and walk right into it. The middle ground is going to be things that are in the middle of the picture, and it's a little bit further away, so you would have to walk a while to get to any of the things that you're seeing in the picture. And the background are things in the way distance. It would be something that's too far to walk to. You would need some kind of transportation, whether it would be a bike, car, train, or a plane. So we're going to do all three of those, foreground, middle ground, and background, for our picture today. We are using a reference picture to help with doing pictures based on observation. So this is not a project where we're going to be using a lot of imagination. It's just going to kind of help us become better drawers from looking at things. So to get us started, we're going to go ahead and start with the foreground, and the foreground is the thing that is closest to us. So our foreground is actually a straight horizontal line that will have a hole and then another straight line. And our foreground is going to have some patterns, and we're going to have two horizontal lines. We're going to have two vertical lines. We're going to have a line that comes straight up and down from the start and end of our hole. We're going to have another vertical line in the center. And we are going to have two horizontal lines that start halfway and make their way towards our vertical lines. We're going to go ahead and do a horizontal line underneath and another horizontal line. So our pattern underneath our hole is going to look very similar to a checkerboard that definitely is not very straight. Our middle ground, we're going to go ahead and continue our half of a circle up towards the top. These are things that are in the middle, and we're going to draw three trees, and our trees are going to look a lot like lollipops. And again, we're going to talk more about the artist that we're learning about in a different video, and we just want to keep this about the drawing right now. So we're going to draw a tree in the center by starting at the top with a large circle, a medium circle, and a small circle. So the top of our tree, very similar to a lollipop. The trunk of our tree is going to be two vertical lines, and we want the trunk of our tree to be nice and skinny. Next, we're going to draw a shorter tree on the right. And again, this one is not going to be as tall, and it is going to go behind our first tree. So we have our large and our medium circle, and both of those circles are touching our first tree. And we'll have our small circle not touching the tree. Two vertical lines that are close to each other. And we're going to do the same thing on the left-hand side. So our large circle is going to touch our center tree, but be shorter. Our middle medium one will also touch our center tree. And our small one will not. We're going to go ahead and draw two vertical lines that are close to one another. And this is our middle ground. It is the thing that we would get to next if we started walking into our picture. And because we did so much decoration in our foreground, and because our middle ground is very interesting as well, we have a lot going on, our sky is going to be left alone, and that will be our background. So now that we're done with draft number one, I'm going to have you jump down in the next video and work on draft number two. The first thing that you're going to notice is that this second box has been split into 4 smaller boxes, and this is something that artists do in order to help them place things correctly on a paper. So the next video, you're going to do the exact same drawing, but we're going to start working with a grid.